Hello, this is the tutorial video I'll be making commissioned by Mego, AJ, and I don't believe I'll be using this for anybody else, so please don't share it, I guess. So, I don't usually talk in my videos, so this will be a little bit weird, but I hope it'll be understandable for you, and if you need anything extra explained, then I can most certainly do that. Over text or Discord or whatever you like. So I'm just gonna hop right in, I guess, and when you open After Effects, the program right here, you'll come up with this screen. So what you're gonna do first, my version of After Effects is Adobe After Effects CC 2017. If you have a different version, some things might be very slightly different, but it's still basically the same idea. If you have a different version of After Effects than I do, then you won't really see this screen, I don't think. If you have the same version as me, just go over here and click New Project. And if you have a different version, you can just go to File, New Project. So go to Composition, New Composition, and adjust the size how you like. I usually do 1920 by 1080. Frame rate, 29.97, or whatever is best for you, but this is highly recommended. Resolution, quarter, just keep all this the same. You can change the duration here. I usually change mine to around 3 minutes just in case. And background color, just keep it black and click OK. And this little screen will pop up. There are a whole bunch of tools here that you might not be using, and they're a little bit confusing, so I'll be showing you what each of them does, how to use them, and if you'll be using them. So let's start up in the toolbar up here. This is the just selection tool. It's just your regular mouse. You can move the timeline like this. You can select things on your composition. It's just your basic mouse tool. You should always use it when scaling your clips, adding effects. This is the basic mouse tool. It should always be set on unless you're doing something up here. The next one is called the hand tool. Click this and it just lets you move around the comp. Unlike if you click this button, it'll just select it if you click and drag your mouse. So now let's go to the zoom tool. I don't usually use this that much. Usually I have a Mac computer. So on my trackpad, I just hold down 2 fingers with this tool and just zoom in and out by having my 2 fingers on the trackpad and going up and down, But you can also use this button to zoom. Fit up to 100% is what I usually do, or fit. And I can zoom in and out like this. Or if you have a mouse, you can also use the little the roller thing. Sorry, I don't know how to say it. But you could go up to your zoom tool here and go up. I don't really know how to go back out because I don't usually use this. Oh, this is very professional. But so you can go here, rotation tool. I don't really use this either. I don't know how to use it. You probably shouldn't use this. I don't think it's necessary. This is called the Unified Camera tool, and you can use it for 3D compositions. Oops, shoot. You can use it for 3D compositions, but you won't be working with that yet. So just ignore this for now, and I can get a little bit into it towards the end. This is called the Pan Behind Anchor Point tool. You can also click your Y on your keyboard to access it. This is actually kind of important. I won't be talking about that until just a little bit later, but it's to center your anchor point. I'll tell you what anchor points do in a bit. This is the rectangle tool, and if you hold your mouse button, you also get all these options. Polygon tool, whatever. You make one of these things, or whatever you like. And this is called the pen tool, also the masking tool. If you click like this, it lets you select only a certain point in your clip and edit only that part. That's kind of useful later on. So this is the text tool, or the horizontal type tool, whatever you like to call it. There's the vertical type tool. If you click and hold, if you select the text tool and click on any space in your comp, you can type whatever you like. And if you highlight it like this, you can select a font. Ooh, sorry, and a type, bold, italic, regular, and you can also select the size. You have to highlight the text before you make these changes, but you can also select the size here, though I usually just scale it, and the color. So now, that's all for that. It's very customizable, and here's the brush tool. I don't really use it that much. You probably won't have to use it if. And here's the stamping tool, or the clone tool. I forgot. Yeah, there you go. Clone stamp tool. I don't use that. This is the eraser tool. I don't use this either. I guess this is to erase the brush strokes used with this. Red brush tool, I have no idea what this is either. I don't really think you'll be using it. And here is the puppet pin tool. And this I do use very occasionally for some animated intros. Basically you click and these little points come up and you can move them around and they distort your image to make it look like it's moving. That's a little bit more advanced, but that's just a basic explanation of what it does. So now we're going to go back to our selection tool and we're going to scroll up, and you should see this effects and presets little tab here, along with audio and maybe a type tool down here. Whatever you have, it might be different for everyone depending on what you just selected and what your workspace is set to, but you can always go to Window and then you can Workspace, and you can select which things you want to have over here or reset. So with our blank composition here, let's go to File, Import, and let's just do multiple files for now. So I'm gonna go in my files and look for an audio and a few example things for me to use. Now I'm going to go over here and import an audio file. So this is the audio file that I have selected. So you're gonna click and hold and drag it to your comp and release. And then, so here's the thing that's a little bit weird about Adobe. Usually if you work with previous programs, you'll see that the clips kind of snap together. Like if I can do a really quick example here. And see if I move the particles, they kind of automatically go to one part. Like you see that yellow line over there? It kind of just moves itself for you to the part that it thinks that you want. But in After Effects, it's not like that. It'll just keep going and going and going, so you have to be very precise when you deal with your clips here to make sure they don't go just a second or a millisecond above what you want them to. So you're gonna click and hold and drag it approximately to the length, like that here. And you see how there's a little bit of part here? We don't really want that. So this is the zoom tool. It zooms into your comp, so we're zoomed out here. And if we go in just one bit, if you click this to zoom in, then you'll see we are a little bit zoomed into our comp and up close to our clips, so it's easier to position them. I like to zoom in all the way when I position my clips just to make sure I'm doing it absolutely perfectly. See, it's perfectly aligned with our timeline thing now. So now we're going to zoom back out. So usually when I import my audio into After Effects, the audio is just a little bit too loud. So we're going to click this little arrow button right here. This is the clip menu, and you're going to click the audio button over here. And you see this audio levels button? Don't worry about this yet. This audio levels, you're going to click it, backspace, and do -5 around. So the negative numbers obviously make the clip's volume just a little bit lower, and the lower you go, the more quiet your audio will be, and around 30 is where audios become completely silent. But don't worry about this waveform here. It's not really, it's just to help you visualize where the beat drops, but I don't usually use it that often. So now that we have our audio clip, we're going to learn how to split it. So splitting is when you go like, you want to cut a clip in half, and this is useful in many different, I use it almost every single time I make an edit, so it's very useful. But yeah, so let's say we want to split this audio right here, and I listened to the audio and I know where I want to split it. So you can usually there's different ways to split a clip. I've assigned a keyboard shortcut, but if you don't really know how to split a clip or what keyboard shortcut you have set, you can go to edit and you can just click split layer. But I recommend assigning a keyboard shortcut to this. I can click this, or I can go Control S, and that split my clip there. What I wanted to do is delete this part of the clip, because I only want this, a specific section of the audio. Now, you can also do a certain way. The way I'm undoing all this right now is Command Z, but on Windows I believe it's Control Z. So yeah, I have this point in my clip that I don't want. You can also click and drag the beginning of the clip like this, but if it's an especially long clip and you don't really feel like scrolling all the way over to get the end, and it's a lot less precise this way, you can just split the clip instead, which is what I usually do because in my case it's faster, but it's whatever you prefer. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, and I don't want this whole section of audio here, so I'm just going to split it a few seconds in. So now that we have our audio clip here, and we have a basic understanding of how to split clips and stuff like that, you can go to here. This is on my animal green screen clip. I'm gonna long click and drag it over, putting it above. You'll see how to deal with layers and what the difference is later. So now you'll see our first actual clip in your composition, and you'll see a dancing behind the music, and you see this little button right here. If your clip has audio in it that you don't want, or you don't want to see the clip for whatever reason, you can just click this button and it makes the go away, and you can click it again and it'll come back up, and it'll save all edits you did. You just temporarily won't be able to see it until you turn it back on. Click the drop down menu here and click the drop down menu on transform, and you'll see all these fancy, little bit daunting values come up, but you're going to look for scale, which means the size, and you're going to go over here and click this button here, and you can drag it up and down, or you can adjust the value. You can do the same way we did on the audio. You can click it and type in a certain number, click enter, and it'll come up the size that you want it to, but usually I just use this, or in special instances I can click this and drag it up and down, sideways, or like this. I'm going to scale it all the way up, and you're going to, what I usually do when I first import a green screen is I click the pen tool, because I don't want the user tag in here. So by the way, your project settings should almost always be on quarter. If you put it on full, if you don't have the greatest computer, yes, the quality is great, but the preview takes forever to load when you have a lot of layers, which is often the case when you work with decent clips. But when I'm adding effects to my layers, usually I like to put it on full just for a second so I can see how it looks without all the graininess. So we're gonna go keep it on full just for now, but turn it back to quarter as soon as you're done with your edits. Click the pen tool, and you're gonna click once outside of your animal and just make a circle around the part that you want to keep. So we're gonna get dangerously close to this name tag here and here. If you suddenly decide that you don't really like the size of your mask, you can go here and click and hold and go like this once you're done. Like if we accidentally masked right here and I didn't really want that, I click this and go right here. Perfect. So our animal clip is nice and done. Switch right back to the selection tool, and I'm going to go into effects and presets and search key light. Now there are a lot of other ways to chroma key, but usually this is the one I like the best, just because it was the way I was taught, and I only use other ones for certain circumstances, but this is probably one of the only two you'll need. So you're going to click screen color, you're going to click this dropper button, and you're going to put it right here. So you see it looks pretty nice already, but some of the color over here is a little weird. So you're going to go to screen gain and drag it up or down, and that really takes away. Now it could, if you go too much, not with this clip in particular, but if you go too much, some of the original color could be distorted or deleted. So just be careful of that when you're working with it. And screen balance kind of, yeah, you see that little pigment that faded from the wolf? That could happen sometimes whenever you play with that a little bit too much. But I want to remove these green edges and make it very smooth. It's pretty smooth right there, right? And yeah, so there you go. It's fancy, fancy, fancy. A pretty good green screen right here. No name tag, no nothing. I actually think the scale is a little bit too small. So if you plan on editing just the scale and not anything else, you're going to click S on your keyboard and go scale it up and down. It'll only put scale up here. So now you're going to close it back up. I quite like that. So now to make your green screen smooth, ignore this or skip past it if you don't really want a smooth green screen, or you don't have Twixtor, or you don't really want to get into all that professional stuff yet. I'll just apply it temporarily to show you how to do it. I'm pretty sure somebody else already uploaded a tutorial on how to do this, but just really quickly in case for anybody who didn't know. You're going to download Twixtor. I already have it though, so just skip past this if you don't really have it, or you don't, as I said, don't really want to get into that. You're going to search up Twixtor. Just use this regular one. I don't really mess with these. And drag it to your clip. I don't really like to do this because it might get messed up with the other clips in the background. So I just apply it to the other layer. And you see our green screen progress is kind of gone. What you can do is you can move key light up down here. And there, it's all good. You just click and drag, and you can drag it above or below Twixtor. But I recommend applying Twixtor before you've done the green screen, just so that sort of stuff doesn't happen. So there are all these scary values here that you don't really have to mess with. Just keep all of them the same, except for speed. You're going to go to speed, click it once, and then backspace, and then just type whatever you like. How about 70? 70 is usually the nice value I like to go with, and you see how smooth it is? It's a lot smoother in here. I will not be using this smooth green screen, just in case you decide not to do it. So if you ever feel like you need to delete effect, or you need to turn it off temporarily, you just click this effects button and it won't show up. So now you see the green screen is regular instead of all smooth. You turn it back on, it'll be a little bit smoother. So I'm just going to delete Twixtor altogether. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just click the delete button. Make sure you have the right effect highlighted. Don't highlight this unless it's the effect you want to delete. I want to delete Twixtor, so I click it, delete. And yeah, so that's all good. Now turn it back on full. And fancy schmancy. So we've got our green screen, and now here's to making it look pretty. So you're going to, I use a trackpad for my Mac, so usually I click with 2 fingers, but if you're on a Windows, whatever brings up this menu for you, usually right clicking. You're gonna, for me, click with 2 fingers, and you're gonna scroll up all past this all fancy stuff, and you're gonna layer styles, and let's try some fancy gradient overlay. Click this one at the top, bottom, and you'll see this happen. And it's a little bit weird, but usually what I like to do is change the angle. I'm gonna make it go like this way. I like it like that. But you can turn it however way you like. So it's pretty perfect to me. And if you want it to be a little bit less smooth, you can put down the scale. It's usually nice for animal green screens, but not too much. And now you're gonna go over here, change the blend mode, click this, and scroll over overlay, because that makes it look the nicest. And you can toggle the opacity. Opacity means, you know, how much you can see it. So if I turn the opacity to 0, it's not even there. But if I turn it up a little bit to around 34, you'll start to see it more and more as I turn up the opacity. Usually the opacity, I usually keep it on around 70 because it's like a nice subtle effect. And now, I think I got a little bit ahead of myself. So usually the thing I like to do before I do all this stuff is import my background. So I'm gonna put that underneath the wolf. And here we are. I'm going to turn off the audio like I said earlier. And, oh, I should probably turn down the quality again. So here's how the background looks behind the animal. And usually what I like to do is match the background to the animal. So like if I have a blue background, I'll make the animal blue and the text a little bit blue and stuff like that. And I'll make some of the overlays blue. But what if I don't really like the color of this background here and I want to change it? So I go to Effects and Presets and go to type in Hue. This one comes with After Effects, by the way. And you can go to Color Correction, click it, and drag it over to Particle Form or whatever your overlay's name is. I can send you these overlays that I'm using, by the way, and some more if you find that you like them. So I can go to Master Hue and I can change it around like this. So I think I'm gonna make the background, I quite like this purple sort of color. So I like the look of that. So I'm gonna turn it back to full. And I'm just gonna resize my animal green screen a little bit more. And what if I don't like the position? So I'm gonna take down this drop down menu again, go to transform, and you're going to go to position, and you can just usually move it around however you like with your mouse button by clicking and holding. Or you can use these sliders. This one is X position and this one is Y position. X position goes left to right and Y position goes up and down. So it's kind of hard to remember which one is which. Sometimes even I find myself forgetting, but it's okay. You can just play around with them and do Control Z or Command Z, depending on which computer you're on, to undo anything you don't like. Not a big deal. Okay, so now that we're all done with that, you can go back in with the blending mode the same way, or layer styles the same way we did earlier. And usually the next one I apply is a color overlay. It is a little bit bright. It's definitely not the color we want. So we can go to color, expand this drop down menu right here. Click the eyedropper tool on color and click any point in our clip if we like. Or we can manually select a color. That's a little too purple for me. So I'm going to go over here and go a little bit more red so it matches. And click OK. And then that'll change it. And go to blend mode. And you can test out any of these you like and see which one looks best for you. But usually I do overlay, screen, or color dodge, depending on what my clip looks like and what I'm doing and, you know, all that fun stuff. So let's try overlay. See, you can turn down the opacity once again if you don't really like it. So if you go from 0 to 40, you can really see the difference that I make. And let's test out the other one. Screen makes it a little bit light. I don't really like that look for this particular background. So I'm going to do something else. Multiply makes it darker. And color dodge makes it like glow. But I like overlay, which just gives it a sort of half and half look between the two. And so I'm going to click this button, arrow button again to close it. And close the layer styles as well. You can also click the I button over here to turn off all layer styles if you feel like you need to, because with less effects it really does make your clip less laggy. But again, you should always have your preview mode on quarter so you don't really feel the need to do that. So you're gonna go to layer styles once again, and you don't really have to apply any of these. This is just how I make my clips look really pretty. So I'm gonna go inner shadow. And you can't really see it that much, right? So if I turn the opacity all the way down, Can't really see a difference. So I'm going to turn it back up, and we're going to go to the size and increase it. And if you see, if I turn the opacity all the way down, you can see the difference it makes now. This is kind of personal preference. Usually it's a hit or miss with this effect, but I quite like it actually. So I'm going to turn it back up to 80 maybe. That looks quite nice. I kind of like that. I don't really like the size, so I'm going to change it to 65 instead of 70. And usually there are a few other layer styles I like. A stroke, if you click this, it makes this little border around your animal. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't, depending on what your tastes are and what your background is and stuff. And yeah, I think our animal clip looks pretty nice. If we turn off the layer styles, you can see how it looked originally and how it looks now. It matches much better with the background, and I kind of like this one way better. So, I think I'm going to change the audio because I don't really like the way it goes with our clip here. Okay, so as you can see, I've imported a new audio into my comp because I felt like it would best fit the background a little bit better. So, or the vibe a little bit better than what I was originally going for. So the next thing I'm going to go into is creating motion. So we're going to go back to quarter for this, and we're going to turn on this little button here, motion blur, and click this button as well. So now we're going to go to layer, new, null object. And we're going to drag this on top just because I feel like it looks a little bit cleaner on top, you know? So now what we're going to do is do something called parenting. Parenting kind of, I'll show you what I mean. So you're going to click this button over here. This is none. Click null one, the null that you just created. Null one. Parent the background, whatever you like to it. And you're going to click transform, and if you scale it, it'll scale both the background and the wolf together. And if you play around with rotation as well, with this in the same way you did with position and scale, it'll do the same exact thing. Whereas if you just went into the wolf and scaled it, it wouldn't have done anything to the background either. So you're going to go into null, and we can create some basic movement here. So what we're going to do is, to prepare, you're going to click position and click with two fingers, or click with two fingers or right click and select separate dimensions. I'll show you why we're doing this later. And so what you're going to do here is you're going to click these stopwatch icons in scale, position, and rotation. Both positions, by the way. So what these little diamonds here are, what they do and what they're called keyframes, and what they do is they represent motion. So on our first keyframe, this is the beginning keyframe, what we're going to see when the thing first, when you first watch the video, the first second. And so I don't really want this to be the view when you first click on the video. So what we're going to do is we're just going to adjust these positions the way we want. I'm going to up the scale, up the position, and tune it to however you like. And I'm going to put the rotation a little bit like this, and maybe push it down a little bit. And I quite like the way this one looks. So this is our starting point. This is not what we want at the end, so I'm going to show you how to make that, make it move. So you're going to click the space bar to play, and I want, by here, I want it to move to, by the middle of there actually, I want it to move to the next position. So we're going to move this again. Make sure you have these stopwatch buttons here, or else it's not going to move. So I'm going to move this over here. I'm actually going to move it to the bottom corner. Now let's see here. And I'm going to up the rotation to around 14. Actually, maybe more. And put the Y position down. And X position. Just tune it to around there. And scale. We can do a little bit more scale if we like, or a little bit less. That looks nice. So what we see here, if you go from here, if you click the play button, or the spacebar, or however you have it set, you'll see the movement there. You'll see this little movement here. And by here, I want it all to go back to the way it was, which is easy. You don't have to manually position it. You can click this and click with 2 fingers or right click and click reset. That'll reset one thing, but you can click on this and click and hold down Shift or Command. Command if you want to select these manually, or Shift if you want to select all in a row. And then you're gonna right click again and click reset. Perfect. So now let's see what we made. Beautiful. So you can see the little black bars here, and I'll tell you how to get rid of those in a second, but looks like we created a pretty basic motion. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna click and hold and drag your mouse all over these keyframes. Make sure it selects every single one. Right click on top of the keyframe, not over here because that won't do anything. On top of the keyframe, keyframe assistant, easy ease. So now let's see if we can see the difference. I'll show you with a little bit of a better positioned little thing here, so it's easier to see. So let's just type an example text right here, text, and I'm going to move it to the center. It's not really a big deal how it looks, and I'm just going to split this null layer right here so it's not so annoying, because we don't really need it over here after the music ends. So I'm going to split this text, delete the first half, and show you. So I'm just going to keyframe this text really quick. I want it to go from small to big. That's very quick keyframing. I don't really care about how it looks right now. This is also a good point to teach you about anchor points, but let's see. This is how the text looks right now. It's not very entertaining. It's just coming up from the little keyframe we set it at. But when we select Easy Ease, you'll see it's a little bit smoother. And no other work required, apart from selecting Easy Ease, of course. So now I'll teach you really quickly about anchor points. If you remember that tool we talked about in the beginning, the little pan behind anchor point tool, you're going to click Y on your keyboard and you're going to move this, I'm going to say about the middle. That's not really exactly, but let's see how that does. Let's see how different it is. It scales up from the middle. Now let's see, if we move the anchor point over here, you'll clearly see that it scales from the anchor point. Now this is very useful when dealing with clips. See, if you toggle the rotation, it'll rotate from the anchor point as well. And I don't really want to do that, but if you rotate from here, it'll rotate from there, from the center anchor point. I'm going to click Y again, go back to my selection tool, and show you. You can create a lot of cool effects with different anchor point placements. But this is just a basic. You shouldn't really worry about that unless you find yourself, having to. Usually if you're scaling up text or something like that, I usually toggle the anchor point, but I only do it when necessary because it's a little bit of a hassle to get it exactly in the center. So now we're going to go back to our original point. These motions right here, they look quite nice already. I don't really think there's any more necessary transition here, but and it's a little hard to see right now, so we'll mess around with the graph editor later. But as you can see, as you're panning out here, you can see this little black edge here. That's not very nice, so we're gonna scroll up to our effects menu, click X to get rid of whatever you were typing before, and type in motion type style and drag that onto our background, which is the layer that has the black bars. You're gonna go output height around 200 because those lines there are very small. And as you can see right there, I just got rid of it by creating another duplicate layer right under it. And you're gonna click mirror edges, and now it looks like the black lines aren't even there. So we're gonna fit again and see what we have so far. Now see if it lags like this and it takes a moment to load. That's perfectly normal. All the effects you have, even with quarter on, all the effects you have, like the layer styles and the blur and the keyframes and everything, may all pile on to making this a little bit more difficult for the computer to handle and load. If you have a very, very good computer, I'm not sure, but it might not lag like mine does. But that does happen. It's not a big deal, and it doesn't usually take too long to load as long as you're on quarter. Even if it does, you just have to have a little bit of patience and just sample your videos just a little bit at a time. If you need to see how an effect looks, maybe just turn it on full for one frame just to see, like for we want to see how our wolf looks. But if not, just turn on quarter and maybe play like a few 5 seconds maybe, if you want to see just how one specific thing looks. But if you really need to sample your entire thing, put it on quarter, play the whole way through, and just be patient while it's loading. So let's see what we have so far. Okay, so the beat drops right here. I can clearly hear in the music. So we want something to happen on the beat drop, and what I actually want here is for the text to pop up. So let's click on our type tool and click right here, or whatever you like, and click tutorial. But we're going to drag this right to the middle here, double click to select the whole thing, and let's choose a nice font. I kind of like the way this one looks. So I'm going to highlight it by clicking and dragging with the text still selected. If you click away from the text, it'll deselect it, but if you select the layer and double click, if you select the layer and just double click on or directly on your text, you don't have to have the type tool selected while you do this, but if you double click, you can easily select it again. So now you're going to click this button right here, and let's so what I'm going to do is move my anchor point to the center of my text. It's only approximately the center, but it works just fine when you're using motion. Usually you can't really tell. It's not the exact center. Turn on motion blur just for good measure, and I'm going to go to transform, position, right click, and reset, so it goes to the center. And now I'm going to scale it up and position it a little bit differently. Now you see the text doesn't look that fancy. Well, you know the layer style thing that we did with the animal? We can do the exact same thing to this. So we're going to go layer styles, gradient overlay. Now I'm sure you already saw this from Gothic Lamp's tutorial. I kind of stole it from her when I watched her tutorial because I didn't really know how to do this gradient setting before her video. So props to her, thank you very much. But I'm going to go edit gradient, and you can drag these little things here. Oh shoot, basically what you do is you just click you know, add gradient like we did last time to the animal under layer styles. Just gonna go edit gradient and drag these to around the middle. Now we kind of want the layer on top because that looks a little better. So now you're gonna click right here, click to add a stop, right in the middle of the black layer here, and you're gonna go all the way over here. So it looks like a nice frosty sort of effect here. Click OK. And now we're going to go overlay, and that looks really pretty. Or we can go color burn, and you can turn down the opacity like that. But I actually quite like the way overlay looks. I kind of want to add a drop shadow actually. And let's do the same thing that we did with the animal earlier. We can up the spread. We can just color select it here. I actually might select this color here and go just a teeny bit darker. darker. Oops, I forgot to turn out the opacity. And also change the blend mode. So we're going to make it a little bit of a darker color than what's already here. I like that color. And I'm going to turn the opacity all the way up again, and again, increase the distance. Maybe turn down the size a bit. And if I want, I think I'm actually going to add a stroke. See how it looks, see if I like it. We have our beautiful text. But as you see, it's not really going with emotions the way we want. So we're gonna put it under here and parent it to the null. And you'll see that it does a little bit of a weird thing there. So to prevent that from happening, if you've already positioned your text all the way and you don't really like the way that it does all that fancy stuff that we don't really want, you can go to position and reset. As you can see, sometimes After Effects can be a little bit of a hassle. There's a lot of troubleshooting things that usually you don't really anticipate, and that's usually my biggest hatred when using After Effects. It really sucks when, you know, there's a weird program error or anything. If you get a weird error that you don't understand, or there's just some things that you just can't do. But it's worth it for such a good editing program like this. And what I'm gonna do here is check if this helped with the null issue. And yes, it did. Beautiful. I think it looks pretty good, but I think it could take a little bit more time to get to its original endpoint. So I'm just going to select the end keyframes here, like this, and move them up, because I like for the animation to end here instead. I like the way that looks. And maybe this one can be moved up a little bit as well. So I found the exact moment where a beat drops here. I actually want to make the text a little bit bigger before I move on. I found the exact second that a beat drops here, so I'm gonna go with that. And I actually want the text to do a little bit of a weird sort of thing that I've seen. I don't really know how to call it, but I'll show you how to do those character animations, because as you can see, if you toggle the rotation and stuff, you'll see that it actually moves the entire text as if it were a whole clip. But actually what I want to do is move each individual character or word. So I'm going to go to animate, and we're going to go, let's go scale. So you're going to range selector 1 here now. So what I'm going to do right when I want my animations to start is click the stopwatch button on the scale right here. So I kind of want the animation to go a little bit bigger actually right here. So I'm going to increase it to this. Then I'm going to put it back down by right clicking, reset. And this is how it looks. A little bit boring. So I'm going to highlight and a keyframe assistant, easy ease, just like we did last time. So I actually still think this looks quite boring, and I want this to scale up a little bit more actually, so I'm just going to change it. I actually think this looks quite boring, even with the easy ease. So what I'm going to do is select this keyframe right here, make sure scale is selected, and click this button up here called the graph editor, and click. And this is where things get a little bit, you know, a little bit difficult, or a little bit confusing at times when you're new to the graph editor and don't really know what this means. So what you're going to do first is make absolutely certain you click this button and click edit value graph. So I'm going to go here, and your keyframes absolutely have to have easy ease for you to be able to have these things, because if I highlight them and put them back to their original state, you see the handles won't come up. So make sure easy ease is selected, and that's how it looks before. And so what I actually want to happen is it to go really fast in the beginning. So I'm gonna click this button right here, Make sure these are selected actually. Actually, don't do that, because if you click this and this goes, then the other one will go as well, and we don't really want that. So just click this very tip button here and have this handle. Usually I've had someone ask me before how I know whether to move the handle up or down. Well, it's a little bit, at first it's a little bit hard to tell. You can have to look at tutorials, but you can see if the motion is going downhill like this instead of uphill, then you usually move it down if you want it to go fast, and to the side if you want it to go slow at first. I'll show you that in a second. So you're going to click this and move this, click the tip of this handle and move it up. Make sure when you highlight this that none of the handles go outside the box, because that's going to make it so that it edits the value the way you don't want it to. So what I usually do when I want it to go fast in the beginning is move this here so it goes even faster. You see that? So we're gonna, so see that? That's way different than what we had before. So I kind of like that way better. So let's try making it go slow in the beginning and fast at the end. So we're going to do the exact opposite that we did here. We're going to extend this by holding down, make sure to hold down shift while you do this so it doesn't go all wonky. Without holding down shift, it goes like this. We don't really want that though, so I'm holding down shift and going like this and dragging this handle upwards. Do not hold shift on that one, because then you won't be able to move it upwards. So it looks a little bit weird actually. I don't really like the way that looks, so I'm actually going to make it go fast in its descent. So let's move this down. Don't hold shift, but this time hold shift on the other one. And let's see this. I like that. So now, we like the way this looks for the most part, right? Oh, and I think I skipped over something quite important. To save your project, you're going to go to File and click Save, or Save As if you really want to save it in a very certain place. Click Save, and then select your project name, tutorial for YouTube, and click Save. And you can select the destination and stuff. Or you can just click Command S instead, or Control S, depending on what computer you're on. Okay, so this is what we have so far. So I'm going to make some last minute adjustments, like making the wolf green screen just a little bit taller, or larger, and making sure all of these line up with the end of the clip. So what you're going to see here is that my background here actually doesn't go long enough. You'll see it only reaches to the middle, or around a little bit more than the middle of the audio clip. So what I'm going to do is Command C or Control C, Control V to copy and paste, and drag it over and make sure it aligns with your clip. See that little chop there? I believe there's a solution to this. I don't really use it that often, because usually when there's a whole bunch of effects gone in the background, you don't really notice it. But I'm going to go to Time Reverse Layer, and you'll see what this does. See, it kind of reverses the background and makes it all fancy. Kind of time reverses it so the end starts where the beginning is supposed to be, and then at the end you can see where the beginning of the clip was. What I'm going to do is select all these layers, the null, the tutorial text, and the main screen wolf green screen, and with shift clicking the top of the layer, the top layer that I want the selection to end, and Control S to split, and delete, so it ends exactly where I want it to. And now what I'm going to do is something called pre-composing. So I'm going to select all of these except for my music layer, right click and select pre-compose. Make sure you select move all attributes into the new composition and adjust composition duration to the time span of selected layers I'll show you why we're doing this in a second. So once I pre-compose it, you can see there's no motion blur, and this is just all one clip. And I turn off the sound just because it bothers me. Our original project there, but just in one layer. And do not worry, you can go back and edit whatever you previously had. If you go back to your project, you'll see that there's now pre-comp there. Double click it, and you'll get all your layers back. But I'll show you why we're working in this comp instead of the pre-comp. So let's go to our basic effects. So I'm going to go to CC Tyler and drag it onto the clip. And now, since I have all my clips selected in one comp, I'll be able to do this like this, instead of how it was before, where I would only be able to select one clip. Here, I'll show you what happens if we apply CC Tyler to only one clip. So apply it only to that, it'll go like that, and that's not what we want. So let's go back to our main comp and close this one up, and go back to the effect controls and click the stopwatch on the scale. Just like transform and scale and position and stuff like that, you can keyframe effects as well. So in your effects panel, double click on the scale, the word scale, not this, just this. And that'll quickly open this up. But so it's easier for you to understand, or well, you know, if you forget to do that and you need another way to get to it, you can click this little arrow on drop down effects, and it just open this up, or whatever effect that you want to adjust. And there you go. So this will make it move. So I want the emotion to go right there. So I want to make it pretty small, like that maybe. And then on the second one I want to go even more. And then zoom it back in. And then click scale, reset. So look what we have so far. I don't really like that very much, so I'm going to highlight, easy ease, and let's see how we like it now. A little bit better, but I still want it to be like the text we did earlier. So I'm gonna select this, just this first motion here, and select fit selection to view, and that makes it big. That makes the screen big enough for us to see. Select this first one and drag it down to make it go fast in the beginning and slow at the end. And we're going to do the exact same thing for every single one of these, just like we did for the text. Okay, let's see the finished result now. That looks much better to me. And I kind of want to have a rotate effect as it's scaling outwards. So on our transform, not on our Tyler effect, we're going to go to click the stopwatch on rotation, right on the frame this one starts to move. Move to the frame where it finishes, and we're gonna go like halfway around here, like this. And now we're going to go over here and do plus 180 instead of negative 180. So it goes like that. And then as it turns back in, we're going to just reset it. So it goes like this. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And we're going to do the exact same thing that we did earlier with our graph editor and our CC Tyler scale. Now it looks like this. Beautiful. Now, you see these black bars here? We don't really want that, so going to minimize this and do the same thing that we did for the background earlier. Apply motion tile to this entire clip. And I think it needs to be actually pretty big because there are a lot of spaces here. just going to go around 400 and click mirror edges. Alright, looks fine to me. So now let's talk about basic 3D motion. So first of all, what we're going to do here is click this little cube button here on the clip. And what that's going to do is when we scroll down to transform, bring up all this fancy stuff. So when you turn it, you'll see it goes like this. If you turn the Y rotation, the new things that came up, you'll see it does all this cool 3D stuff. And we're just going to do basic 3D motions this time. Actual 3D compositing and projects are a whole other can of worms that are really hard to open. So we'll just be touching up on it here. But as you can see, it reflects here, and I don't really want that. So what I'm going to do is, motion tile is the thing that's making it reflect. So if I turn it like this, turn off motion tile, you'll see it doesn't reflect. So how can we only put an effect on a clip for a designated amount of time? Because we still want it on this section of the clip. So what we're going to do is, as soon as it returns to normal, we're going to keyframe output width and output height to be normal, but 1 frame after the motion finishes, we're going to put them to their regular form of 100. So now you'll see it'll have it right here, but right after, 1 frame after, it won't have it. You'll see. There we go. So now we're going to do the same exact thing over and over again with our Y rotation. So I want it to spin right here, so I'm going to click the stopwatch. Now I'm going to go where I want it to stop, and I'm just going to do a full 360 with this whole thing. It'll probably say 1x here instead of 0x. That's exactly what you want. So let's highlight it, easy ease once more. I don't really like the way that looks. It looks pretty cool, but I kind of want it to go faster. So we're going to do the same exact thing that we did with the motion tile and CCA tiler and all that. Beautiful. As you saw earlier, we kind of copied and pasted things before, but we can also do that with keyframes. So we're going to take this first keyframe here and Control C, Control V, right over there. So as you can see, it doesn't really have the same movements, so we can just replace that one more time. Beautiful. So now that that's all done, a basic rotate thing that we did earlier, you know how we did that with the motion tile, or the tiler in hand, we're also just going to do that basic. So let's go copy and paste this. And I'm going to turn motion tile right back on. So let's copy and paste these. And copy and paste this. So it turns right back on right after we don't need it anymore. So here I also want to use the anchor point thing we talked about earlier. So if you saw earlier, you could see that if I move the anchor point, it'll move the entire clip. And if I keep in the anchor point manually, then it'll also move the entire clip. So what we're actually going to do is, oops, I forgot to change back to the selection tool. We're going to Control S the clip, or split it. And we're actually going to set the anchor point manually here. The beginning anchor point here. So we're going to go over here. And now that the anchor point is all finished, as we talked about before, it'll move like this, which is really cool, I think. So I'm going to do that motion. So I'm going to go here and turn it to around here, and then turn it manually over here, because if you don't, then the motion will go the opposite way, and I want it to keep going the same way. Like this. That's how it looks so far. Let's turn on Easy Ease, and then do the same exact thing that we did earlier with our graph editor. Beautiful. Let's see here. I love the way that looks. So now let's play it from the beginning and see what we got so far. So now I want to split the clip again and move the anchor point back to where it originally was. There we go. Just got to move it manually. And now what we are going to do is let's create a fisheye effect. So go to effects and presets and type in CC lens and drag it over here to clip, and you'll see all this weird stuff start happening. Just change it to a size that makes it your original clip again. 500, there you go. And we're going to keyframe that, or double click it. And I'm gonna go to the point where I want it to stop. Actually, I want this to go here, and then at the end, go back to 500. So it goes like this. And do that all over again. And I think that actually looks good without putting anything on it, but let's put on Easy Ease right now and see how it looks with it. And now that looks pretty nice. I actually want to change the text here. So I can't really do that with the comp without all the fancy layers, so I'm going to go back, Project, and click Pre-Comp 1, and split my tutorial text here. And what we can do is we can delete it, and then we can, oh shoot, I accidentally deleted the wrong thing. We can go to tutorial text, split it, and then copy and paste it, and then move it over here like this, or like this, and then split it once more. Like this. And I want it to say enjoy. So I don't really want this to be at the null layer, so I'm going to reset all this and scale it up and double click and enjoy. So let's teach about transitions. So now I kind of want to do a basic rotate transition. Start it right here, click the stopwatch on rotation, go to 1 frame before the end, or wherever you like, actually, it doesn't really matter. And let's change it so that it flips upside down. It doesn't really have to be exact, usually it's 180, but mine just happened to be 181. And put this keyframe on the very last frame of your clip. Select Easy Ease. Go to your graph editor again. And actually this time, make it slow in the beginning and fast at the end. You can see it spin. And I actually want that to be a little bit shorter actually. So let's make sure nothing happened in the graph editor. And then let's go to our enjoy text. Set the base rotation on 180 or 181 as we did earlier. Click the stopwatch, go to around where I want the animation to stop, and keep going like this. And make sure it says 1x over here. Turn it manually. And let's go to the graph editor. And if you happen to click on the graph editor without doing the Easy Ease keyframe first, no worries, select your 2 keyframes and click this button right here called Easy Ease. And you'll be able to do no problem without highlighting your keyframes. So you're gonna click these handles and make this one fast in the beginning and slow at the end. And you'll see what that does. So let's go right here. Beautiful. You can probably tell what the mechanics of that are. If you're wondering why we did separate dimensions on that position thing earlier, if you go over here, just for good measure, go like this. And we want that to be smooth, and we select Easy Ease. The handles won't show up. So that's why, for some strange reason, you have to separate dimensions for the handles to come up, so you can smoothen them out. But I'm not really sure why, but that's just the way they said it, I guess. So let's see how the new text looks. Now, see, I guess there's a little bit of a weird transition for the text here. So it's on the side instead of the center, and that kind of sucks. But there's a pretty easy fix to this. Just simply toggle it. See, it kind of got messed up, huh? I think it was me playing around with the position, but it might have been something else. So we're just gonna reset it here to how we like. And it looks pretty centered. Go back to the comp, and it should be all good now. Now I want to copy and paste that old CC lens effect that we did again, because I like the way it looks. So let's go over here, select these, and copy and paste. And copy and paste once more. Now instead of going back to the original, I want to do this fancy end thing. So we're going to go back to CC lens, the controls, and let's make the size really small. Like this. Beautiful. Let's delete that keyframe. So now let's look at our project from the beginning and wait for it to load. It might take a little bit. Just be patient, because that is completely normal. So now that our project is finished loading, that looks pretty good to me. I think we covered a lot of great effects. Some pretty basic ones and some slightly more complex ones. I think it. So here, these are the basic tools you can use to make an intro look good. But I will be teaching one more thing. Let's import a file here. So let's start with this one and just pop it in here. And let's scale it up. You can clearly see the particle effects here. Let's go blending mode, color dodge, and there you go. It looks quite nice. Now if you really wanted to, you could add this to your pre-comp so it kind of moves with the other motions that you have here. But I think it looks fine without moving with the whole clip. But if you really want to do that, you can add it to your pre-comp instead. You can actually add, I actually want to add a little bit of a hue to this so it matches the theme a little better. I like the sort of firefly look to it. I'm going to turn down the opacity just a tad. And yeah, I really like the look of that. And to add some green screen overlays you might have seen, actually, let's do this. So, I found this Plexus Burst overlay. I can supply that to you as well if you need it. You can see here that it has a black background. And if you try and use Keylight, I'll show you what will happen. If you drag Keylight onto this and click black, nothing's going to happen. That's an issue I had no idea how to fix for the longest time, but now I'm going to go to color range, look up color range and drag it to your clip. And now click this button here, click this, and there you go. Black thing's gone. So now you're just gonna turn up the fuzziness if you need to. Or if you still see these little black lines here, little black pixels, they can be a little bit annoying. You're gonna go to Layer Styles, Color Overlay, and you're gonna set the color to white, or whatever color you like actually, and the black spots won't show up. Let's fit this up. I actually want to add this in underneath all of this, like I said before that you could do. So I'm going to put this plexus burst underneath my wolf and connect it to my null layer. Turn on motion blur for good measure. Move it over here. Apply color range once again. Apply color overlay. Make it white. And I think that looks quite nice. So I'm going to copy and paste this a few times so it actually works for the length of the clip. I'm going to do the same thing we did with the particles by making it time reverse layer. Beautiful, so it connects a little bit better. And now I'm going to copy and paste both of these and change the position. So that's how it looks. Let's go into our regular comp. As you can see, it added in quite nicely. I really like the way these particles look on top. I just wanted to demonstrate how you could add a particle overlay into a composition. But yeah, that's pretty much my tutorial for basic intro. Right before we end this here, I'll just do something real quick, show you how to render your video. So you're gonna scroll all the way to the end of your composition and take this little white line, or the little blue line, and drag it down over here to the very end frame of your clip. Make sure it aligns exactly. Now you're gonna go over here. And I want it to start fading out right here, so I'm gonna put keyframe on opacity. And at the very end, I'm gonna make it 0. So that way, as you can see, it creates a little bit of a fade out effect here. And I'm gonna fade out the music as well. I remember how we talked about audio levels in the beginning. So I'm gonna click the keyframe here, and at the very end, make it around -30. And so now we have our complete clip here. And what you have to do to render it is you're gonna go to Composition. Make sure you have this comp 1 selected. Composition, add to render queue. And now you're going to select best settings. And there are settings that are up on the internet on how to make your video render faster without losing quality. But I do not remember the settings that I've used, so just for now you can put lossless or look up a different tutorial on YouTube on how to achieve that. But I have a fast small render preset right here. I'm going to output it to YouTube tutorial, to documents, and click render. And it should take a different amount of time depending on, you know, how good your computer is, how much RAM you have to get dedicated to the program. But that pretty much concludes it for the tutorial. If you'd like to know a little bit more, then I can most certainly try and arrange that. But if you have some minor questions about anything I talked about before here, please do not hesitate to let me know, and I'll try my very best to explain them to you through Discord or text or anything like that. If there's anything I missed, I can also explain that to you. I'm sorry if this wasn't very professional. I tried my best. I hope it was informative. I hope this helped, and have a great day.